This meeting is being recorded. Got it.
I like how you
All
did that.
right.
I like how you're like, oh, I see it. Okay. I
All
wonder if I
right.
can cut this up, but we'll figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
all right, man. So first of all, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down via Zoom. We're going old school. We're not at the level yet
Mhm.
of doing it in person. That would be like a follow-up interview, but this is the
Yeah.
first you can say podcast interview, question and answers through Soccer Appetite. The ultimate
Mhm.
goal is just to put out your experience through soccer from all different lenses and angles and time frames, and just maybe have it help other people who listen to it with whatever they're going through. So, um,
Mhm.
so I guess my first question is like, and I want to be honest with the audience. So we talked obviously the day before, and I was like giving you
Yeah.
some heads up questions, and you gave a really good answer to a question. So I won't go to that one yet. But um, so when I say soccer, or your
Mhm.
friends say soccer, or you hear the word soccer, like what's coming to your head?
Okay. So when I think of soccer, obviously like I think of like obviously like something happy, like a happy experiences and stuff like that, but it really comes down to it's like playing soccer with friends, playing pickups. Like when I think of soccer, just as a kid, I used to have a lot of birthday parties at the house. And we have like a nice backyard, and I would invite all my soccer friends because all my friends play soccer, and we would just play like a pickup game on my birthday. And it was like that's what I think of soccer, just playing with friends. And a lot of my friends play soccer, so when I think of soccer, I think of friends as well. So it's a nice relationship that I have with soccer, nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, and when I talked to you on the phone the other day, you mentioned Lab Five, which some people who are listening to this will know exactly what that is. I know what that is. You obviously attend it and you go to it, but it seems like you haven't stopped. Like I know you're not necessarily playing now, but it sounds like you're still playing, like for just fun and passion.
Yeah, yeah. No, I still play. So Lab 5, if for the people who don't know, it's like it's a whole bunch of different like little like 5v5 sided fields. So they're pretty small to fit, only like 10 people on the field, but it's this little center and they have like five different small sided fields, and they host like pickup games, league games, stuff like that. And so I basically live there. I'm there like twice, I mean 2, 3 times a week, and that's a lot, just for one place. But yeah, no, I still go there. I like still playing soccer. I don't like, obviously I played college and all that stuff, but and I'm not playing at the moment. But I mean, I just for me like soccer is like healthy for me. It's
Mm.
good to be around soccer, and obviously all my friends play soccer, so that's why I'm gonna continue playing soccer to hang out with them. It's that's like it's my happiness. That's why I enjoy like continue playing just pickups and Sunday League and stuff like that. So I'll probably always play soccer just because I don't know it's always been a part of me. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people who are listening, and obviously myself, I mean, I can definitely relate. So, when did you start playing? Like, I know again we
Mhm.
talked a little bit on the phone, but um, I'm sure you probably play just for fun here and there. But like, when did you like start playing like club? Like, what age, or did you do ASO first? Like, how did you first get
Mhm.
started?
So I think I started. I never really know the specific age, but I think it's 4 or 5, so like one of those two ages.
Hmm.
I started off playing AYSO. It was I forgot where exactly it was located. But I play AYSO. Elite. So my sister Aaliyah played, and then also my older sister, she played as well. And we all played at AYSO. That's where we all started.
Hmm.
And then from there, they didn't like us at AYSO because we were like too good. Cause it was too it
Recreational.
wasn't competitive,
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
we would just score like I think I scored like 10 goals once, as a kid,
I
but I
got you.
scored 10
Yeah.
goals, and the parents, the kids' parents don't like that, It's like they're not having fun. They're getting, they're paying not to have fun just to lose, But that's the that's what happens, I guess. But so they didn't like us. So then that's why we went to club actually. That's why we moved from AYSO to go play club. We played at yeah, well, we played club and then
What was your first club?
it was Real SoCal.
Okay, and how long did you play
It's
there?
not played long time.
Mm.
Uh maybe like 8 years maybe or so. Something like that. We were there for a really long time actually. Both me and my sister Aaliyah. Um yeah, we were there for a while and then from there I switched to a few other teams as well and then that led up to playing, college.
I think you touched on a really good point. I mean, I think people sometimes get maybe not necessarily confused, but for those who don't know, it's like grassroots AYSO is actually a good place to start to see if you like to play soccer,
Mm,
regardless of the score line. It's it's more of a recreational. You're allowed to. The coaches are almost encouraged to make sure that you play X amount of minutes. It's a little bit more of a neutral atmosphere. So it has its place. But I think what you touched
mm,
on is the transition from AYSO to club. And so for
mm,
you, it sounds like you realized and your family that not just were you guys talented, maybe naturally, but you know, you needed a more challenging environment for yourself to continue growing. But it sounds like actually the way you said it, it was more like the vibe wasn't good anymore. So it's kind of interesting that it wasn't even like, so like you didn't get recruited, meaning like a coach didn't come up to your dad or mom and say, "Hey, I want to take Eric to Real Socal or to this club." You guys just kind of went like, "Yeah, we're not really feeling welcomed here anymore, so we got to go to the next level."
yeah, basically, like it was that, and also like when we're scoring high, we're scoring like goals and stuff like that, and it's not competitive anymore. Our parents could tell, it's like okay,
Mm,
we've mastered the AYSO, we've kind of put ourselves out there to play soccer and try all this stuff, and all right, now let's try the next level and see how that goes.
yeah.
And like just see where that leads our kids, just where does that take them? And I think
Mm,
that's was like our parents like idea, to do with us and to try. But I think it's good that kids go to AYSO because it's no it's competitive, but also like if you lose, it's not like the end of the world, and it's a very easy beginning. It's easy to start at AYSO. I feel like that's a good thing to have for your kid. You know.
well, what's crazy now? I mean, there's actually AYSO United, which is actually like a club that hire
Oh yeah.
coaches that have experience. And it's like, so they kind of are starting to teeter into that club world, which
Hmm.
there's a lot to that world, as you and I both know. But it's, yeah, I mean, it's a really good starting place. And
Yeah.
then, kind of like not being a big fish in a small pond anymore either, as well for yourself.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of interesting that you kind of your parents and you guys were like, okay, it's time to go to the next step. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have that experience, man. Like, and they finally graduate out. But yeah, because everyone's journey is different. Because like, I mean, I've actually gone to go recruit at ASO games and to find kids like you
Oh
that were
really?
scoring 10 goals, and then maybe
Hmm.
see if you would like to go to club. Um, so, at what point did it turn into more? Because you're obviously very passionate about soccer. So,
Hmm.
do you remember when you were like, I want to actually get good or get as good as
Uh
I can?
yeah. So it was basically, throughout, from AYSO to just beginning club, it was kind of like I was just playing competitively, just competing with other kids. But was when I really wanted to get a lot better than everyone else was when so my closest friend, he's a really good player. Like he plays at the highest level, that is basically possible here in the US. And um he would invite my sister to play, which is she's a little older than me and she's a lot better than me, at the time. Now it's a little different.
Okay,
But
uh-huh.
she'll have something else to say about that. But anyways, and at the time she was better than me and I didn't take soccer as serious at the time. And So there's these pickups that we had like all around where we live. And so my best friend would invite my sister to go play soccer and not me. And I'm like, what? Like that's as any like brother, you don't want your best friend to invite your sister to go play soccer because you're not good enough. And so that was like, and then he could be like, oh, you wanna like get in and out after, I go play soccer with your sister, like it's like it was just, it wasn't anything negative. It was just I just they're competitors and I just it wasn't competing as well as everyone else. And that was when I was like, all right, I got to get better, so I can hang out with my friends.
And
Basically,
how old were you when that happened?
I think I was like middle school, probably like sixth grade, seventh grade. I was like, that's when I was like, all right, I need to start like actually putting in work to get better than everyone else. Because before that, it was like I was just practicing. I would go to practice, at club, and then I'd do our scrimmages on Saturdays and Sundays. But I never put in work like besides that. But ever since then, I was like, all right, it's time.
So you essentially decided, and I mean, again, to the people who are listening, like when I called you and I asked you this question in a different way, but I was blown away that the reason why
Yeah.
you decided to go to the next level in your journey was because your sister got picked to go hang out with your friends that play soccer and you didn't. I mean,
Well,
that's a
exactly.
pretty crazy, like, I'm sure other people probably can relate, but yeah, I mean, that's great. So when you had that feeling, what was the next step? Like, what did you start doing differently?
So I would go to pickups on my own. Like it was, I would invite my other, obviously, I was still friends with my friend, but I would invite other friends that were, around my level, obviously, and
Uh
I would go to pickups. Then I would go to pickups a little more consistently, and then
huh.
pickups led to, okay, let me, kick the ball in the backyard. And what I used to do actually, so I didn't have cones. I had like little balls, like soccer balls that I would keep in the backyard that were flat and they're like a size 3. And I'd use them as cones and I'd dribble through them actually. And then I would put on earphones, I'd have my own thing going and I would just do that. And then I'll kick the ball against the wall and just like I would just experimenting and just wanted to do better. So I was like, okay, let me just touch the ball a little bit, see what I can do that. I don't know. See if this makes me better, and I just experimented and it gave me more confidence and it helped me play a little better. I pick ups with my friends, so I was like, okay, something's working. So then I just continued doing that and expanded, did more research from there, and then yeah.
So essentially, like pickups was your go-to, which I think is it's interesting because that's you're just playing, right? Like you're not having someone with you training you. Um, there's no like pressure because like you're meeting an individual maybe trainer or it's not like a one-on-one private training session working on something very technical, but you just played, which I think is actually it kind of maybe goes into like something else, but like playing, like I feel like people sometimes lose sight of development as also part of playing, like play the actual game. So when you're playing five-a-sides, six-a-sides, like you're actually playing the game. So would you say for yourself that a lot of your growth came from just actually like playing the game versus maybe necessarily, I know it's a part of it, technical training, one-on-one training, but was just playing pickup something that really helped you get better for yourself?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think I put pickups as like one of the most like developing practices that I did, I guess. I don't know if that's the right wording, but no, yeah, I think pickups is definitely really good for developing as a soccer player because you could experiment, there's no coach, you could want to do like a rainbow flick and try to see what that does. It's because you can use your imagination without any consequences, and as a competing soccer player, you're always like sometimes a lot of competitive soccer players are in their head a lot, like, oh, I don't want to blah blah blah, I don't want to make mistakes. Well, when you're playing pickups, like it's super fun, and it's even more fun when you go with your friends. So when you go with your friends, you're a little bit more comfortable, and now you're just kicking the ball around, experimenting, trying different positions. You're putting yourself in, an uncomfortable position that maybe you're not used to. Maybe you're an attacker and because it's just a small field, you have to defend a little more. And oh, I kind of like defending. Like maybe this is a new position I could try. Or it's like there's just so much experimenting going on with pickups, and I love playing pickups. I think it's just super fun, and when you go to play pickups, you kind of put the pressure on yourself. So if you want to like, all right, it's 1-0 down, you can make it a real world situation, like a real scrimmage game situation.
Mm.
If you're losing 1-0 in a pickup game, you're like, okay, let me pretend this is a real game and just try to, you know, bring back the scoreboard to like a 2-1 lead. So yeah, that's
The first
what
thing that comes to my mind when you're speaking about all this is freedom. So,
yeah,
did you
exactly.
feel at times you felt, whether it's because of yourself or your parents or even your sister, it sounds like she's a big role model for you a little bit.
Mhm.
When you were playing club, whether it's a training in club or playing for club, that did you feel outside restrictions or like pressure being put on you?
Yeah, I mean, so definitely more pressure. Like me as a, as an individual, like I always put a lot of pressure on myself because, I had my sister. Obviously, my sister's a really good soccer player.
She's
My
not
best
bad.
friend invited her.
She's not
Yeah,
bad.
she's okay. Yeah, yeah. She has her,
She has her
she has her
moments.
moments. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just don't let her hear this interview, basically. But oh, but anyways,
It's already there.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's too late. But no, I always put like a lot of pressure on myself because I had such a high expectation because of my sister. I just always wanted to do better than her, and if I didn't do better than her, it was like I'm not gonna. As a kid, you're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be seen. Like my sisters. Everyone knows my sister and not me. So I think naturally I put a lot of pressure on myself to play better because like how's my older sister getting more recognition playing soccer than me? And she's only like a year older than me.
I,
As a brother, you're always like, I want to do better than my sister.
sure.
So I put more pressure on myself, and when I did that, it kind of like transferred onto like scrimmages and club and all that stuff. And then when I go to play pickups, it was like I didn't go with my sister. I kind of just went by myself, and it was like there's no pressure, there's no coach. I'm playing with my friends from middle school. So it's like, and no one cares when you mess up. When you go play pickup games, you're playing pickup games. With some retired players, some players that are just gonna have fun, some competitors. So it's like it's a variety of different people you're playing against, and you have a lot more freedom than playing in at club, in the scrimmage at club.
Have you ever felt that you were able to reach the ability to play at your best regardless of the situation? So meaning for you pickups was an outlet to grow in confidence, to be free, maybe even enjoy it a little bit more. Because I'm not sure if you remember, but I remember times when we would train, you and I, and then every now and then your sister would join us. Um, that you and I had a conversation one time. I kind of felt like, yeah, like I felt, I could see that you were like comparing yourself
Mm.
to your sister, which is, it's good and bad. But so have you gotten to the point where you felt yourself be you, like playing? Like I know you played in college, so um,
Mm.
were you able to reach that point where you felt like I'm just playing now, like I'm not worried about all this?
Uh, I honestly, it was. I'm still trying to figure myself out. It's still like a battling kind of mental thing, for like a mental barrier. Because I always had this thing of comparing myself to others when it comes to like playing soccer,
Mm,
and it's when I start playing good, when I'm my confidence is high, I don't compare myself to anyone. I'm on top of the world. And then I make one bad pass during the game, two bad pass, three bad pass, then I'm like, all right, time to start comparing myself, for no reason. But that's when I would be like, you know what? Elliot probably wouldn't make mistakes like that. You know what?
Oof.
The other, my competition that's right now on the bench, he probably wouldn't make those passes. He'd probably connect them. So now it's like this stuff is going through my head, and it's like, so it's a battling relationship I have when it comes to um like being really like comfortable and not being able to compare myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but so
Yeah.
it's ongoing. It's never complete, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's as a coach, we're always trying to give confidence to players. But I will say that we can quickly forget that we can also take that away very easily. Um, so it's about preparing players to be able to maintain confidence. But also, I think it's a really important discussion to talk about that it's okay that you ebb and flow with ups and downs. I mean,
Mhm.
I was talking to someone recently who, you know, their child plays at a very high club. They're very young. And we had an open conversation. I was like, how can that player maintain playing at that level with all those expectations for the next X amount of years until they maybe go to college? Like, think
Mhm.
about that for a second. Like, is that going to be healthy? Like, probably not.
Yeah.
So, maybe understanding, which it sounds like you did a little bit, and you can share a little bit more about your experience, but your confidence goes up and down. So, I guess, like, for
Yeah.
you, what gave you the most confidence? Was it playing pickup? So, like, would you go play a college game and not play as well as what you wanted to play, and then start doing all that mental, digestion in your head about this and about that and about this, and then would you go play a pickup game and that would then boost you back up, or like what helped you find that confidence for yourself?
Mhm. Well, to help find that confidence, pickup has definitely helped if I played good. So like it was another like, kind of like battling relationship. But so if I didn't play good in a game, I'd go hit the ball against the wall, boom, 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 boom. And then I'd do that for hours. Once I got like, 50 in a row without it bouncing, skating the ground, perfect touches, then I felt confident and then kind of helped me get back into it. Um, but like if I had a bad game, I would definitely try to go to pickups because if I have a bad game, I could get the rust off by playing pickups because I have more freedom. I could just I make a mistake, oh well, you know. Now I could get ready for when I play the game,
Mm.
So that's why the pickups definitely help regain my confidence. But with the up and down thing, it was like if I had a bad game and then I also played bad at pickups, then it was like like that one hurt. That one stung a bit, like come on, life, like come on, let me play good at pickups a little bit, But I mean that's just the soccer world. That's just life, Not everything's gonna go to plan, but I also would take into account like I'm trying. Like I'm out here trying to play pickups. I'm out here trying to train. I'll try to watch film. Like, okay, I'm actively trying to watch film. And it was like me knowing that I was trying helped me bring my confidence up a little bit as well. Even though like maybe I didn't play good in the game or at pickups. It was like, who else is trying as much as me though? Like no one is trying as much as me. Like I may not be the best player, but I'm the best trier, like that's me. Like I'm gonna be the best trier on my team and wherever that takes me, who cares? Like I know that I'm gonna try as hard as I can and I know that's gonna take me further than a lot of other people on the team. So that was my confidence. That was like my kind of like that was me trying.
I mean, you touched on a lot of different things there. I mean, I would say that there's what's called a locker room player, and a locker room
Mm,
player is someone who they're kind of like a squad player. They may not be
uh,
in the moment of starting. They might not be in the moment of being impactful, but they're also going to be a positive force to the locker room because you and I both know that if one or two players are not satisfied with something, maybe, and if they start undermining the team or undermining the tactics, so to speak, it can be a big detriment, not just to the team, but to yourself too as well. And so,
Mm,
from a college coach perspective, I haven't been a college coach perspective, but I know a few, and one thing that they look for is they ask coaches like, hey, if I sign this kid and they break their leg, how do you think they're gonna handle that? Like, you know what I
mm,
mean? Like as they're recovering and they're not maybe ready to play, but they're obviously itching to play because anyone who loves a game is gonna want to just play. So,
yeah,
I think that's a big, attribute that you would bring value to, because that's character. That's it's a difficult thing to have. And I think players lose sight of that. They think it's just
mm,
all touches on the ball, their ability, but it's also like who you are and like what kind of a you know um, value you bring in terms of like when things are down, things are against you. How do you respond? But
yeah.
I noticed that from you from day one. Your work rate was never questionable, never questionable. You
I
always worked
always,
extremely hard.
I
So
always try my best. It was like that was
yeah.
my thing. I'm a workaholic. Like I may not be the most talented player, but I'm gonna be the hardest worker on my team. Like that's how I compete. Who's gonna
Hmm.
work harder than me? Like no one. So
No, that's true.
that was yeah, it was. But thanks for noticing that. It sometimes it goes unnoticed. Sometimes a lot of people notice it, but it's always appreciated when other people notice it for sure.
Well, as someone who does, private training and coaching, it's like, who do we want to be around? Like, do I want to be around someone who genuinely they don't want to be there? And that's okay. Like, you don't have
Mm,
to, you know, be at the level of passion that you and I have, meaning like you and me. But at the same time, it's like, it goes back to your appetite. Like, you always had a high appetite. Like, you love
yeah.
playing the game. Um,
Mm,
so yeah, I noticed that from, I think, I'm not sure if it was your dad or you that reached out about doing some training here and there, but
mm,
after the first one, I was like, man, like this guy, he really wants to be out here. Um, you
yeah.
mentioned you mentioned film. Um,
Mm,
I'm a huge film guy. That's like
yep.
I can go hours upon hours of watching film, and what age did you start watching film? Like genuinely watching film?
Genuinely, it was probably during high school.
Freshman
Because
year or
I think it was my junior year, actually. So I kind of started late in regards to film. I feel like
mm,
maybe I could have started a lot earlier, but the reason was because that was the only time anyone has ever recorded any of my games. It was
mm,
like one of the parents from our team, you know, thank you to them. But they recorded the games and then they would post it on YouTube. And I was like, oh, like I've never been able to watch myself play soccer before. Like this
mm,
is like not only is it cool to watch, yourself play soccer, but also it's like, oh, like I had a lot more time to do this in the game. Oh, I could have turned and done that. Like, why didn't I just see that before? But now that I'm seeing from like an aerial point of view, I could see what I could have done better, could have done, you know, what I could have done better in this situation and what I did good, but what I could have even done better than good in that situation.
mm.
So it was probably like around high school when I started doing like like taking film super serious.
Mm.
It was because I had the opportunity. Other times I didn't really have the opportunity to do so.
If you started watching film when you were 10, do you think you'd be a
Mm.
little bit better?
Um, I would hope so. I want to be better, I'd hope. But also I think it comes with maturity. I think at 10, I didn't think I had the maturity to sit down and study
Mm,
myself play, which
mm,
I mean I wish I could, if I could be mature enough to sit down, watch myself play and critique what I was did good and bad on, I think
mm,
I'd obviously be a bit better than what I am now. But I'm also glad that it was in high school because I was mature enough to decide, okay, that was a bad pass, but what other options did I have, or that was good, what I could do better. So I think, yeah, I think it definitely would help a little bit, but it's also like what's going on around the time when you're earlier in life
yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
are you mature enough to really analyze yourself and the negative things and the positive things.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I do feel that film analysis, whether it's your film or watching high level film, like last night I watched two films with two players. They're like 11 and 12, and we
Mm,
watched UCLA Stanford. And
nice.
for example, we're watching the game, and I said, one day you're going to be on a field, and the coaches of these programs, whether it's the head coach, assistant coach, there's going to be a row of coaches. UCLA,
Yep.
USC, name it, Stanford, Florida State, North Carolina. They're going to be sitting there watching you play. So, for example, it's like if you want to reach that level for you, if that's your individual goal, do you know what it looks like to play at that level? So, like,
Mhm.
so we're watching that film last night, and they're 11 and 12, and we're watching. It was a great game, by the way, too. It was like 20 minutes in, there's like two shots because both teams were like super defensive, 10 players behind the
Nice.
ball, possession based mainly, a few balls maybe in the air here and there, but it was almost like, because I asked them the question, what is that staff member or head coach looking for when they watch you at 16, 15 years old? They're
Yeah.
thinking, can I pick Erick and drop him on my field?
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean,
So
that's yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to like segue into film. Obviously, you can tell I get like super nerded out when I talk about it, but it's like, you know, because also too, it's like, do you want to play at this school? Do you know how they play? I mean, I know, for some players, there are stories about not wanting to go to a certain program just because they play a certain style, and that's okay.
Hmm.
There's not one style of soccer, so
Yeah.
it's um, so yeah, I'm just curious, I guess, yeah, if you started watching film earlier, if it maybe gave you a little bit more, you know, I don't know, maybe also it might have ingrained a stronger passion for the game when you're younger because because again, it goes back to confidence.
Yeah.
Like if
Hmm.
you understand something, then you're gonna feel. But in the beginning, you're gonna feel awful. You're gonna be bad. You're gonna make mistakes, and so
Yeah. You don't know what you're doing, you
no.
know?
So, but I know you did do a lot of private training though.
Yeah. Yeah. I did private training, obviously, with you. I did private training with you. I did a lot of private training with other trainers, you know. No offense. No offense. How
No,
to,
I'm all about me. I want people to get training from everywhere. I don't want
yeah,
it to
yeah,
be
yeah.
isolated. But let me ask you a
Yeah.
question about private training. So, what was your
Okay.
perception of it, or how do you even feel about it? Like, what's when you hear someone say young or go, "Oh yeah, I have a private training session tonight with so and
Mm,
so." Like,
mm.
what do you think about that?
I think it's how good is your personal trainer?
Mm.
It's like if I'm gonna go personal train with, some, you know, high school coach. Not that, you can't be a good trainer if you're a high school coach, but it's you don't want to be doing like unimportant drills that are just like kind of that aren't gonna make you better. You need to do drills that are gonna make you better. And does your personal trainer know that? Like, does your personal trainer know how to make you a better player? Like, it's because you want to train to build up your confidence, train to be a better player, train on your negatives, train on things that you're not good at, rather than training on things that you are good at consistently when you're just kind of disregarding the stuff you really need to work on. So it's like it's the quality of your personal trainer, I feel like is very important. And the quality of the drills that the personal trainer kind of contributes to the practice is it's and the work ethic and the intensity of the training, like all of that I feel like comes in like hand to hand when it comes to getting your confidence and playing better in, a real game situation. So when it comes to personal training, I think it's good if you have a good personal trainer and just make sure that if you're paying money to be personally trained by someone that is not going to benefit you, then you could also train on your own. There's other options, but if this personal trainer is making you better, is giving you confidence, and you could tell that it's helping you and the drills are good, then I say continue going if like that's what you want to get better. And yeah, it's as long as you're trying to get better every day, that's important. But just you gotta make sure that that you're getting quality training nonetheless, regardless, if it's on your own or with someone else.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for you, but I definitely you mentioned high school coaches not being potentially the strongest of coaches, but I know you didn't mean it the way that it came out. I think it kind of came out like high school
No,
coaches
yeah,
in general are not good coaches,
yeah.
but
No, oh no. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't for any high school coaches out there. No, it was no disrespect at all. It was just the first thing that came in my head.
yeah,
But
no, I like I said, I know you, and people who know you, they're gonna be like, yeah, he didn't mean it like that. I think
yeah.
to sum it up, it's like if you're gonna pay, you be compensating someone, you want to have their experience. So how did you come across personal trainers then? Did you find them? Did your sister find them? Did your dad find them? Like,
Mhm. When it comes to personal training, it was like a little bit of both my sister and my dad, because obviously you coached my sister at one point,
mm,
and then my dad was like, "Oh, I know Mike does personal training.
mm,
Why don't you try it one day?" I think you trained Aaliyah, my sister, once,
mm.
and then my dad was like, "Oh, like maybe like you could go join." It's kind of like I think it was something like that along those lines, and because you're my first personal trainer, like that was
Oh, was I?
you're
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. You're my first one, and then from there, I tried to, other people here and there, but
Yeah.
I had to find the quality, and
Mm,
obviously your training was a quality that I needed to help me play
appreciate
college
it.
soccer, which it worked, of course. Thank you as well. But yeah, so it started off with, thankfully it was my dad and my sister kind of helped me through that, and then from there, after I got my first, my foot in the door,
Hmm.
I got my first step in personal training, then I kind of like, all right, I know what to expect now. Then I kind of like found other trainers to help me train, and I tried other people and see how they worked as well.
So you started playing out of fun, then you realize you didn't get picked uh, because of your friend picking your sister over you to come play with them.
Yeah.
So that gave you some encouragement. You started playing club. Um, you obviously played high school. What was your high school experience like? Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about high schools. I think it all comes down to the program and what they're known for and what the history is and who is currently, coaching that program because um, it does come down to the quality of players that attend the school. I mean,
Mm.
don't get me wrong, you can always improve, but um, so for you, were you anticipating high school to be some sort of experience that you haven't had before with playing soccer, or did you kind of go into it just like, okay, I'm gonna go play with my friends now?
So going into high school, I always had this pressure to keep myself at at a standard. So I
Mm,
knew like going into high school, I was like, I gotta be the best player here, like it's high
mm,
school, all my friends are gonna watch all that stuff. But I think high school's good because it brought competing under pressure of other people watching you. Your high school friends are watching you, your coach is watching you, and then after that, you come back to school, and if you played good, like, hey Eric, what's up, man? What a game. And then if you play bad, it's like, hey man, what happened, man? What happened?
mm.
Like, oh, you get that really bad pass. I'm like, oh, thanks. Appreciate it, man. I'm gonna go to class now.
Jeez.
Like,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Thanks for keep my confidence high, man. Appreciate it. But like I think I think it's good. I think it's good to play high school soccer.
Mm,
Because it kind of introduces you to playing under pressure. That's when,
mm,
like for me, it was like, yeah, I played club, you play like in, big tournaments here and there, but when it comes to like your own identity, because high school, that's what high school is, your identity and friends and all that stuff. So I think high school brought a lot of good when it comes to competing under pressure and stuff like that. I think it's it's a good experience nonetheless. Obviously, if you're playing academy, as and it was either academy or high school, obviously do what's, going to benefit you the most and what quality is better for you. But, I think high school was beneficial for me nonetheless.
Did you make varsity your freshman year?
I didn't. I uh I made JV. I was on JV and um at first I was good. Like during the trial I was all right. I started some of the games and then I just went downhill my first year. It was just
Mm,
at the end of the year I would go like 3 games without playing, and it was just I just wasn't good enough. And there's nothing on the coach. The coach doesn't I didn't like think the coach hated me. It was like, all right, like I knew I just needed to be better. Then
mm,
that's also why I started training even harder. That was when the personal training started to come about. Instead
mm.
of just like doing, dribbling through, flat soccer balls, in a straight line. That was when, okay, like let me try something different.
Mm.
And so my freshman year, I was on JV, and my sophomore year, and then actually a funny story. I actually got cut my sophomore year in high school. I don't know if you knew that.
You got cut?
I got cut. Yeah. Well, it's a little, it was at the time it was my grades actually. I didn't have,
Mm.
it's a long story, but basically at the end of the day, I just didn't have the grades to play, and I faced the consequences for not putting my education first, and so my sophomore year I got cut, and then my junior year I tried out again, and then I made varsity.
Oh, it's a big jump.
Yeah, so exactly. But around that time, it was like I kind of reflected, and it was like, like, come on, Eric, like you could do better than that. But I was like, I was training more, I had more time because I wasn't playing high school soccer. So
Mm.
then that's when I started being able to train more on my own and stuff like that. Pick ups more, and then yeah, and then I made it my junior year on varsity and my senior year on varsity, and then that kind of character development. That's what it was.
Yeah. Um, what was the transition from high school essentially then into college? Like, did you have aspirations to play at a specific level? Because I feel like sometimes players, you want to shoot for the moon. You want to, you want to dream big. Even as a coach, I do. So, for example, like, were you like, I want to play at Division 1 or I want to play in Division 2? Like, what was the goal, and then where did you end up?
So after high school, my main goal was to play at a school. It was either community college, D3, D2, D1, but it was like honestly my main goal was just to play community college because I knew I was a good player, but I knew that playing D1 was a very it was going to take a few more steps to get there.
Mm.
I knew I had a few more steps to climb before I could go D1. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather go. Let me go community college, and it
It's
was
a
still
that's a big pill to swallow.
yeah, yeah. But honestly, it was like I was more than okay with it. It was like as long as I'm getting better and as long as I'm going from one soccer program to another soccer program that's a little bit more better than the other, you know.
Did someone mentor
And then
you in that thought process, or did you intuitionally have that? Because
mm,
the reason why I asked is because, again, I think it's very, because at the end of the day, if you like, you just love the game, right? I love the game. You just want to play. It goes back to playing. If you're not playing, what's the point, right? Like, I'm actually glad you made JV versus varsity freshman year, because you probably would just have to bench the entire varsity year your freshman year. Um,
yeah.
so like, how did you come to that? I guess that like maturity, to do that.
Honestly, I feel like it was just instinct. I guess it's like I was my competitiveness too.
Mm.
It was like I gotta I gotta be better than, like I know I'm good enough to play outside of high school and play college, some type of college, but it wasn't like I feel like I was kind of I knew my limit and I knew if I shot for, D1, I was gonna mentally hurt myself. Because
Mm.
like at the time I knew the quality that I had, and I knew that by all means, shoot for the stars, but it was like, let me shoot for the stars, but what steps can I take to shoot for it? To like, how can I don't know, it was just kind of how can I continuously just get a little better? It was just how can I plan a little bit of a better team than before? And I guess that kind of led to playing community college, but the maturity it came from to make that decision. It was I don't know. It was maybe my level of confidence at the time. If my confidence was super, super, super high, it probably wouldn't like, I played D1, I could go pro. But maybe at the time my confidence just wasn't that high and that my limit of, you know, soccer quality was like, let me try community college. Let me go to community college first and see how that goes. Because community college is still like that was still a very important goal to have for me as well. It was like, oh, I could play, college soccer nonetheless. Like, I'll take it. As long as I'm playing college soccer, I don't care. Like, I know there's good players everywhere, so
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I mean, for people, who are listening, like, it doesn't really matter what other people think, what level you should or did not play.
mhm.
Like, it comes down to a lot more than just that, like, that's why I was kind of surprised to hear that you had that ability just to say like, I'm good going to JC because like I think it also comes down to what your goal is. Like what's your aspiration
Mhm.
within that? Like
Yeah.
because some people can go to a certain level but not play. And if you're okay with that, cool. Because again, it doesn't matter to us, like to me or to you. Like I think
Mhm.
like, that leads into another situation where it's like, are you playing because you want to play?
Mhm.
So I don't think if you did not love the game the way that you do, that you would have played JC. I think you would have quit.
Yeah. Probably. It was
Because why
yeah, because it
play?
was like,
Because why play? Because like for some people
yeah.
they think, oh, it's JC. Oh, that's not
Mhm.
good enough. That's junior college. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, but I mean, there's plenty of stories of players who got hurt senior year, and then that Division 1 contract got dried up, and then they had to go restart
Yeah.
their process and their journey again and go play and go get that because
Yeah.
again, if you're not playing, you're not getting that development. So
Yeah, you're not getting better.
yeah, so I think anyone who knocks people for not playing at a certain level or playing at a level, I think
Mhm.
they just don't have a passion for the game themselves. And they're thinking about
Yeah.
themselves, and it's not about them; it's about you. So,
Mhm.
um, so are you done now with because we haven't really caught up too much, but so you
Mhm.
played 2 years.
Yeah, so I played 2 years. So technically I played 1 year. My first year didn't count because of COVID.
Hmm.
So we were just doing like just like weight training. Like that was
Hmm.
really it. Like outside during the summer, like on the quad.
Hmm.
And then the following year, the restrictions kind of were a little bit more loose. And then I was able to actually play college that season. And so yeah, so I really only played 1 year. And then so technically I still have a few more years of eligibility. Um, but I mean, at this moment, I'm just focusing on school and going to my university, trying to get my diploma, trying to get my bachelor's. But also, I still play soccer here and there, for fun.
Yo, I mean,
But in
you're at
regards,
Lab 5 the other
yeah,
night at like 10 o'clock at night.
yeah, I was actually there yesterday,
Jeez,
last
man.
night. Yeah, yesterday and the day before that. But it's hard to get away. It's hard because that's what makes me happy. Just
Mm,
playing soccer and like yeah, I'm not playing on a team right now, but it doesn't mean I can't compete with other people and like we play at
mm,
a like decently high level, So I'm playing with ex pros still, and it's not a program, but it's still competing and after the game if I didn't score the last winning goal, yeah, I'm still hard on myself, but I'm like, yeah, all right, I got school tomorrow. Like oh well. It's like,
life
all right,
life moves on.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
So yeah.
if you could tell young Eric, you know, anything about your journey so far, because you're still playing. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't think your journey's ever going to stop, with the game.
No.
whether you're a fan or you're playing still, you're rooting for your sister or whoever else, close friends. Like you're always gonna be a part of the game.
Mm.
I like to refer to it as a community. Um, but if you could, give yourself some maybe feedback, or words of wisdom,
Mm.
experience. I still remember being 20 years old and someone saying, "Well, you don't have life experience." And I remember being 20 years old
Mm.
going like, "What do you mean? I'm 20 years old. I've been alive for 20 years." And like now I know what that means based on,
Mm.
life going on. So what would you tell yourself? And not necessarily to make yourself be at a higher level or, to achieve, a certain status within the game for yourself, but just in general, like what would you tell yourself?
Yeah. Girl, I'd probably tell myself to not sweat the mistakes. That's
Mm,
not the small mistakes. Obviously, if you make a mistake, you want to improve on it and get better on it. But I would sweat it too much,
mm,
like an unreasonable amount. Like no one else was as hard as like no one else noticed the little things that I noticed, and I was like, ah. So like for example, like I thought I had a bad game. I made a few misplaced passes, or my pass didn't lead the player in the right direction I wanted it to, and I was like, I had the worst game ever. You know, and then I would like, after the game, after I put my sandals on, I walk to my parents, and my dad's like, "Oh, good game, son. Like, so get some food." And I'm like, "What?" Like, I played, like, I had the worst game of my life, and he was like, "What? Like, what? Like, why do you think that? Like, no one else thinks that except you." And and I think like thinking like that and putting that much pressure on myself, it kind of that's why my confidence levels would go up and down. It was
mm,
like I was so hard on myself when I make a little mistake. It was like, it's the end of the world. And then whenever I did like something good, it was like, "Ah, I'm the best player in the world. You know, it's like nothing can stop me." And it was those highs and lows, but it was that's what I wish like I knew growing up. It was like it's okay to like when you make a mistake, just but you gotta fix it in the future.
mm.
Like it's okay to make the mistake, but you can't just be like, oh no, like made a bad pass. It's like understand you made a bad pass. Like, okay, what can I do to fix it in the next play? Or, okay, how can I train? Like, how can I tell Mike I made this mistake during the game? How can we fix it? How can we train to fix that into the future?
Mm.
I think that's important on if you want to like continue to get better and better. It was don't sweat the mistake, learn from the mistake. So it's like stuff like that.
Yeah, I've come in my current coaching verbiage. It constantly evolves, and it's also obviously very subjective, which I think people forget. Like it's a very subjective game. I mean, most games
Mm.
are. For example, like some fan can say, "Oh, that team they shouldn't low press," and then the team itself is like, "No, we need a low press because we want to be able to compete against these people. Like we got to sit back." So, point being, I like to try to use not the mantra, but like minimize mistakes, maximize opportunities. Because in the game, it's all risk. It's
Yeah.
essentially a chess match at the higher level, right? Like when you're young and you're playing 7v7, 9v9, yeah, you have that one player that can just, you know, like just go and do his thing or go and do her thing. Like, yeah, like that's great. But when you can get organized, I go back to
Mm.
watching Stanford and UCLA yesterday. Like it was unbelievable the organization those teams
Yeah.
had. And it came down to a set piece. Came down to a set
Wow.
piece in the 89th minute and change. Like, and you can see the the pissed off reaction from some of the UCLA players because it's like, it's like you work that hard and like off a set piece, you guys get scored on. Um,
Yeah.
so so
Fortunate.
yeah, I think so no one helped you talk through that in terms of like seeing how bogged down you were, like, or do you even think that at that point in time that would have been helpful? Because I mean, like I said, I remember my experience with you is that you were very hard on yourself. um
Mm.
so have you changed that in terms of in your life or like in life aspects, or are you still pretty like hard on yourself to the point where it's a detriment?
I definitely have high expectation for myself now. Like I always have an expectation I have for myself, and obviously that's a high expectation. But like now it's like I don't really sweat it. If I had also I'm also not playing in college. Not playing D1, D2, D3, community college. Whatever it is. So if I was still playing, I think I would still have a like I still put a lot of pressure, but I think like obviously right now I'm just playing pickups and stuff, so my pressure isn't too high. But when it comes to like going to school, like I have to go to school every single day. It's like I have this high
I hope
expectation
so.
for myself. No, yeah, obviously, I have to. But like it's putting too much pressure on myself. I don't do that anymore.
Mm.
It's I've kind of calmed down in that aspect, but I still have high expectations for myself to continue getting better than how I was before, like from the year before. I want to get better grades. And like I was talking about how I got cut, from in sophomore year, and now like my grades are way higher than it was in high school, and I'm going to university now.
Mm.
So it's like I'm always trying to like do better whilst also having I'm trying to do better because I have a higher expectation for myself, you know. I guess that kind of answers your question. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think that there's so much we can take away from your experience and talking about. It sounds like you were too hard on yourself sometimes, and I think balance is probably the best word.
Yeah.
When it comes to probably a lot of things in life, you don't want to overdo or consume certain things. You don't want to, you don't want to not push yourself and be sedentary and just kind of like, do nothing. But, um, you know, I just think I don't think you realize how much you worked hard. I mean, you say it, you say that you worked
Uh,
hard, but I don't think you
yeah.
acknowledge yourself because I guess what I'm trying to say is if I was your club coach or just maybe your coach for a team, um, yeah, if you're working that hard, I mean, you're going to make mistakes. So it's like, from a coaching perspective, it's like if you're not working hard and you're making
Mm.
mistakes and you kind of look like you don't necessarily care, and maybe that's just your natural body language. But for you, I think, yeah, I mean, do you really believe you worked hard? Because I mean, you do. Like, you really work really
Yeah.
hard, but it sounds like you also didn't give yourself enough credit.
Yeah. So my biggest thing was for as much as like I would work, like I would train like 3 times a day. It was like train in the morning, work out, do like my like weightlifting, and then I would go play pickups, and then that was like kind of my day, and then I would kind
Mm,
of incorporate stuff like that. But
mm,
it was like the thing that kind of messed me with the most was if I did all that stuff and I worked as hard as I could, then I still didn't play good. And then it was like that's what really I think that's kind of what why I always still put pressure on myself, even though I was still working super hard. It was like I'm training, 3 times a day. I'm doing 2 days, I'm back to back training, and it's like, and I'm still not playing good. It's like, am I not working hard enough? That's I feel like that's kind of what I was kind of going through in regards to like why I don't understand like my work ethic. I think it was just because I wanted to be so because a lot of I would surround myself by good players, like my sister's a good player, I was
she's not
able to
bad.
play with my friends now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she gets the job done, whatever. But like obviously like I had people around me that were really good, and I was like, I need to be as good as them. So I was training, 3 times a day. Then it was like I still wasn't as good as them. Like I need to work harder. I need to do 4 days. I need to do 5 days. Not like 5 days. That's obviously too much training. But like, okay, I need to do more than like obviously like I need to get on their level. They're probably doing more than me. So that's why like I don't know. I never really got to
Did you set small goals for yourself when you played?
um
Like, has a
honest.
mentor or someone who coached you ever said, "Hey, Eric, today I want you to focus on just I want you to try and focus on playing in behind, when it's
Mhm.
on. If it's not on, don't force it. But every time you can go forward, maybe play a ball behind and put someone in a position to score. Like,
Mhm.
did you do that? Like, if you had 6 opportunities, did you do it 4 times? Were you able to execute? Because it sounds like you
Mhm.
were trying to check all these boxes.
Mhm. I think. I didn't really have like a mentor to tell me, do small steps at a time. I remember you would try to tell me like at pickups, try to focus on things here and there, and I would try to, my best. And then when it came to the game, everything just went out the window,
Mm,
and then that kind of aspect of, okay, try to do like little things at a time, little steps at a
mm,
time. And I definitely was trying to check as many boxes as possible through all the work I was doing. I was like, oh, like maybe if I work harder, I could get more boxes. It was kind of like I didn't focus on one thing at a time, which I think that probably would have helped me as well. Maybe I probably should tell myself that, growing up as well. With the other question that you asked me, I think that would have been a good thing to tell myself. It's kind of like focus
it's hard
on little
because yeah,
skills.
I mean when you're around players and you watch players and you see that they're able to do so many different, aspects of the game, I will say that yes, to be able to play at a high level, you have to be able to do a little bit of everything. And then yes,
Mhm.
so some players reach that pinnacle of they can whip a ball in a certain way, they can do certain things. Like bending for me was something that was organic and natural, you know.
Mhm.
But my left foot is horrible. I have no left foot. Like I have no
Uh,
left foot. So all the players out there who I private train or they want to try to beat me at something, just play to my left foot and you're always going to beat me. Um,
yeah.
I digress from my inabilities, but yeah, I feel like youth players youth players don't focus on trying to accomplish something simple. They try to be great at everything because I think what you're realizing is that yeah, it's so easy to poke holes. Like yeah, I didn't
Mhm.
do this, yeah, I didn't do that, or but it's like did I accomplish this? Also, have you ever thought about how many hours you put in preparation to a 90-minute game? Like think about that
Like
for a
in
second. Like you
regards to
train,
training,
yeah, like let's say like in a week you do 2 or 3 days.
okay,
And how long is your game generally?
like 90 minutes, obviously, like
90 minutes
plus extra
plus.
time, 95. Yeah.
Okay. Think about how much time you put in before the actual game.
Uh, a lot.
A
Like if
lot.
so, like let's just say my game was on, a Saturday,
Mm,
starting Monday, I would even like I would start training. I would train. I minimum during the time, like during college, I was training, like leading up to college, I was training like two a day at
mm,
least, 3 days sometimes here and there. So each time about hour and a half, 2 hours training, probably like 4 hours a day, three and a half hours a day. And I was training every single day. Like so, times five, times five, six, whatever number that is.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I know I trained hard and a lot.
yeah.
Like right before, before I had a game, or not before, but leading up to it. Like I made sure that I put in as much work as possible
So did you
to get my
enjoy when the
confidence.
game came?
Honestly, when the game came, I had so much pressure on myself because
That's
I
what
was
I'm
training so
saying. I
much.
mean,
I
gosh,
didn't
dude, you didn't
really,
even enjoy playing the game sometimes, it sounds like.
yeah, because it was like I'm training so hard, I can't do bad. Like I
Mm,
just like like Eric, there's no way you could play bad right now. Like you've been training so hard, so much every single day. Like you can't play bad. Like it has to be impossible, right? And then if I didn't play bad, obviously you have your ups and downs when like some days you're on it and some days you're not. And the days that I was not on it, it was like it was like the end of the world for me because I was like I put in so many hours, like
mm,
so many hours, and I didn't play good. And I was like, like it hurt, And I think that's what definitely like kind of affected my confidence a lot.
mm.
Um,
I
but
feel like
but
there's
yeah,
like I feel like there's like
yeah.
buzzwords, not just for soccer but for life. It's like freedom, balance, maybe like perspective, you know, being subjective to like what's going on. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to harp on it, but I do feel like you don't give yourself enough credit, man. Like you've always
Mhm.
worked really hard, and there's a lot to say about that. And I think, yeah, like your own personal satisfaction is what matters. Not, I tell players all the time. I actually have a.
Mhm.
I remember training a player and they were 13, 14, and I had been training them for a couple of years. And I said, "Hey, like, have you thought about what college you want to go to?" And at 13, 14, they were able to say, "You know what? I think I'm just gonna go to college, just go to college, and I actually want to be a realtor." And I was like, "Oh, that's so
Wow.
cool." I'm like, "Have you thought about what kind of realty? Like, you want to do commercial? You want to do like individual homes, like?" And like, they started talking about the realty, and then they
Mm,
quickly went, "Wait a minute, you don't care if I don't play in college?" And I was like, "No, like, because I'm not the one playing in college.
yeah.
You are." Like, and so it goes back to like, are you doing it because you want to do it, or are you kind of being not forced, but you feel like you should do it, like for someone else's
Mm,
reason? And I think there's a lot to be said. Like when you're not doing it for your own passion or for your own reasons, like eventually something's gonna crack. Like,
yeah.
and I think it's inevitable something's gonna crack in general. But um, I just think that you can see that you really love the game, but you kind of put yourself out of balance because you had so much expectation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was obviously I was doing it for myself, but it was like how much yeah, it was I don't sorry, I totally lost my train of thought.
That's okay. No, that's right. I kind
But
of gave like a experience, but because
uh
when you overtrain, like you would also get injured.
yeah, I got injured. It was my Achilles. I like did like a
Mm,
simple little quirk, but that little quirk lasted 3 months. Because and then after that, it was that part was also a very character development, time. Because I was training, 2, 3 times a day, and then I got injured. Then it was like that's all that was my goal was, at that time it was okay. I want to play D1.
mm,
So I was training, consistently every day, 2, 3 times a day, and then it was like I got injured. Okay,
mm,
like what? Like why am I getting injured? Like this sucks. Like what am I supposed to do with my life? Like
mm,
I've been focused and sacrificed everything to do that, and then I I can't do it anymore. I can't
mm,
actually focus on my goal. Obviously, I try to like do other things like try focusing on like on film, and it's like really that's really the only thing you can do is film and like work out your upper body because I hurt my Achilles. But it was like it that was also like a downer for my confidence. It's
mm,
like I just train all this time and then now I'm set back. I'm like almost at square one. You don't lose everything, but you lose your confidence and you kind of lose like that momentum.
mm.
And yeah, so the this confidence in regards to not only to like training but also like injuries. It's like I feel like it's always important to prevent injuries and do injury prevention exercises and stuff like that
Mm.
because it could really like kind of mess up your momentum in regards to like your soccer development.
I want to give you some stats. I just listened to, I believe it was Sky Sports that did the article. You can find it on YouTube. Should I be like an official like YouTube person? Be like, you can find it in the description below. Um,
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
hit that like and
Actually,
subscribe button. Yeah.
I
Um,
have like a big advertisement error right here.
yeah. No, but it was back in the 1990s for every one ACL surgery. Now there are 29 ACL surgeries.
That's crazy.
And um, they also said that a 10 to 15-minute warm up, 10 to 15-minute, when I say warm up, I mean also too like doing the, you know, um, you know, movements around your knee and your hip and your ankle, right? Not just like, stretching dynamically, but
Mm,
a 10 to 15-minute proper warm up reduces the risk between 50 to 70%
wow.
of
So, I
ACL
mean,
tear.
that's this it literally statistically shows how good it is to get a warm up in like that.
Mm.
That's because I mean, an ACL injury like that'll set you back quite a bit. Like
Yeah, almost
that's
a year, depending on who your surgeon is and what their outlook is on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But you
And
had no major injuries, right?
no, obviously knock on wood, but I never had any major injuries. The closest one was my Achilles that lasted 3 months, but there's other players that are less fortunate and they get injured and it lasts them a year, lasts them 2 years,
Mm.
it's then that's hard, So I definitely suggest like warming up. Like a warm up is very critical for players. You don't want to get injured, an
Well, I know
injury.
you and Ali would do pretty extensive warm ups and cool downs when we train
Yeah,
privately. Do you do that when you do pickups?
yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
still train. I actually got another injury in my thighs because I wasn't warming up correctly. It was like,
Mm.
no, let me do some high kicks, some back kicks, open up the gates, close the gates. All right, let's play. Or sometimes it's like I showed up late to pickups. Let's just jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
I jump right into an intense pickup game that's you're
Mm-hmm.
sprinting and you're braking really fast because it's just a small sided game. So like now I show up to pickups 20 minutes early, and like sometimes the field is taken, but I'll just like warm up like right outside the field and actually like focus on what muscle groups am I gonna use for to play today. Obviously I'm gonna use a lot of my thighs. I'm gonna be braking a lot. I'm gonna
Mm.
be doing a lot of deaccelerated.
Mm.
Okay, so let me do some drills that'll help me warm up for that. Because injuries suck. You don't want to get injured, and it affects the way you play.
Yeah, the for those that want to go further with it, it was like again it was Sky Sports, and they actually said I wasn't sure they had like a number like of reasons, and one of the reasons was because trainers have the field for an hour, they want to use every hour or every second
Yeah,
within that hour. So they said that one of the biggest reasons is because people just don't warm up. Like they did, like what you just described. Like, oh, I just showed up late.
mhm.
I'm just gonna go play real quick, and boom, that decision could be 8 months. Eight
Yeah,
months. Like that's when you put it in perspective like that. Like it's really worth it. And also too, I think coming back properly is really important. Like I had a player
yeah.
recently who she did her hamstring a little bit, and it was like, okay, we're gonna train for 20 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then 40 minutes,
Mhm.
and it would, and it's like slow getting back, like because your body still has to get adjusted back to like where you were. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you haven't had any major injuries. Did you ever have any concussions?
I didn't,
Mm.
thankfully. Um, no, yeah, I know a few people that have concussions, and definitely kind of affects the hesitation to play, playing, doing headers and stuff like that. But thankfully, no, I haven't had any concussions.
Man, I never got diagnosed, but like I must have been 26,
Uh,
and I'm playing with a team. I rarely jump in with my teams just because it's like you don't want to accidentally hurt someone, or you know what I mean. Like you just don't want
yeah, yeah,
safety is always number one, and so it's like I remember I got blasted. The person was probably like 4 feet away, and I think they were thinking about shooting, but they were like really
Oh,
far out, and the ball was bouncing, and they just ripped it, and I was like 4 feet away. I didn't have time to move, but thankfully, I
yeah.
think I went like this, and it hit me
Uh,
there, and I went down, and everyone stopped, and then we were, and I was like I said, I definitely didn't like throw up, or I thankfully I didn't have any like crazy symptoms, but I
mhm.
think back like did that I probably lost some brain cells in that one. And also I thought
Yeah,
like what were you trying to do? Like
I know.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like but I do remember
yeah.
joking with the player. I think I texted them like, oh yeah, I'm going to the ER. Some joke, and I was like I quickly was like, I'm just kidding, I'm just joking. Like but
Yeah,
yeah, no, I'm glad that you haven't had any major injuries. But also
yeah.
too, like if you do get injured, I think also too, like being aware of your mental state, like you said, when you're down, yeah, it can
Oh, yeah.
affect you a lot, because being idle is probably one of the
Hmm.
worst things that we as people can be doing. Um,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, well, we kind of covered a lot. I kind of told you that I wanted to flip the script and allow someone like yourself who's been in the game for so long, and also I've been able to thankfully be a part of your journey a little bit. By the way, did I beat you in ping pong at your birthday party, or did you beat me? I think I was pretty bad.
I think I for sure beat
Well,
you.
I was wearing like brand new white
Yeah.
Vans, which I never wear
Uh-huh.
Vans. I never
I
wear
know, but
white.
then I gave you shoes though.
That's right. You gave me shoes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Maybe it was the shoes, man. Maybe
yeah.
your shoes were the reason
I
why I
did it on
lost.
purpose actually.
Yeah, I
Strategy,
put too much
strategy,
pressure on
guys.
myself. I put too much pressure on
That's what it
myself.
was. Yeah,
Um,
it happens.
but I wanted to be able to allow you to ask a question. I kind of asked you a bunch of questions, and and I appreciate you being open and honest and sharing your experiences. Hopefully, it can again help others maybe relate and maybe learn from it for themselves. But did you have like a specific question that you have?
Yeah, for sure. It was like we talk about, players and their pressures that they have, performing and stuff like that. But as a coach, I
Mm,
know that you still get similar pressure that kind of goes unnoticed. And not
mm,
only do you have, but I think for players, you can't kind of have like you the pressure of like yourself, your mom and like just your mom and dad. But as a coach, you have the
mm.
pressure of the teammates and obviously the kids that you're coaching and stuff like that, but also the parents and also like maintaining a good coaching staff and stuff like that. So like how is the pressures as a coach, how does that kind of affect you and what are those pressures?
I think in the beginning of my journey, it was being good enough. I
Mm.
started coaching when I was 20, so
Oh.
I was young. I, you know, so when you're that young, you're just thinking you want the nod from the other staff
Oh.
that maybe have played at a higher level than you, that have been coaching longer than you, that have a higher license than you. Um,
Mm.
so at first, you're kind of sounds like selfish, like you're trying to like get your own confidence. It goes back to what you talked about, like so. And then as you evolve, and after say 15 years now, the pressure I have is making sure that I create an environment for a player who wants to get to the highest level possible, that I create that environment. So,
Mhm.
for example, regardless of the level of the team, flight 3, flight 2, bronze, silver, silver elite, if one of your players as a coach tells you, I want to play for the women's national team, I want to play for the men's national team, but what are you going to do to create that environment?
Mm.
So it's unrealistic for every player to have that goal. Also, it'd probably be not very fun to manage 18, want to be LeBron James's. That would be
Yeah.
probably chaos. So
Just a little bit.
might be a lot of fights breaking out.
Possibly. You never know.
Yeah. So I think now it's creating an environment for those players, because we never want a player to be able to say is that that they didn't they weren't able to grow within that
Mm.
practice or that environment. So um but also too, like, it's creating a good experience, like, because again, not everyone wants to be that player. So can you also have a player who's brand new, who just came from recreational to a higher level, but not turn them off, because
Mm.
also too, players are going to that environment hopefully for the experience. So I didn't have that experience when I was 20, 21, 22, but as I got older and had a lot of great mentors, so it's creating a really good environment consistently, and it's
Mm.
not easy. I mean, just to give you a short example, like one of the teams that I coach, we were going to an event, we had 2 weeks to prepare. The last session before the event, I can tell that my tone was getting like higher, that my tone was like
Mm.
becoming impactful to where half the team shut down. and and I like literally, I remember being in the car driving away going like, why was I so amped up? And it's like, because I know that this is the last session, that we're going to an event, and it's like, it has to be important, it has to be hard, it has to be, but it's like,
Yeah.
is that tone helping players get better? And
Mm.
so it's a lot of like self-reflection, um, and trying to become better. So yeah, to sum it up, I would say creating an environment to where anyone can achieve their goals. You can do that,
Yeah.
that's if you can do that, that's pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, you have any follow-up questions, or is that wow, that was a good one, man. That was a good one.
Yeah. Cause I know like that was a great response. Yeah, because I feel like coaches kind of the pressure goes unlooked and like it's like like you're a coach, like it's you just tell a bunch of people what to do and it's I feel like it's a lot more than just that. Because also, so when it comes to you gotta obviously as a coach you gotta do a lot of research for I know you're a coach in a high for high quality teams and stuff like that, and you need to perform at your highest as well.
Mm.
So like, do you do a lot of research? Do you do a lot of do you look up a lot of like coaching like educational like videos to help you? Do you read a lot of like coaching stuff, like coaching literature to help you better to maybe help get an environment for the players and stuff like that? So like, what type of steps do you go through in order to be a better coach?
Man, you have to always be yourself, but you also want to
Uh,
take in, knowledge from others. Um,
mm,
so I've been, blessed, grateful to be around some high level coaches. So just taking bits and pieces from coaches um, is probably the biggest thing, and then
mm.
still being true to who you are. But yeah, I'm also people who know me pretty well. I'm a pretty big bookworm, so I don't buy fiction books. I'm not knocking fiction books,
Yeah.
but yeah, I read like Roger Federer's book. I read David Goggins' book. I read Tiger Woods' book. Like aside
Mm,
from all the personal stuff that they may have out there in the public and people give them hate and whatever, like you still pick up on things that push them to get to that level, So thinking about like the environments, like for example, I think you'll enjoy this. Tiger Woods, like his mom, man, like his dad. There's a lot of very instrumental people in his development, but his mom was cutthroat, literally.
really?
So he was playing. I think it was against Phil, in like a college tournament. I can't. Don't quote me on that. But he was like, playing in a tournament and still developing, in terms of like mentally and physically as a player. And he was up by like one stroke. And I remember in the book it said his mom said, "Go for the jugular. Don't just par out. Like go up two strokes. Like
Mm,
essentially, I think if I remember the word, like go for the jugular. Like so again, like I mean, it's like that helped harden his mindset when he would then go against competition and like so you take away things like that, in terms of like how can I push players to become better in moments, and everyone's different, so you got to be very careful
mm,
with what kind of information you're giving out. But yeah, I think as long as you stay true to yourself and realize that you can always get better, like you're gonna get better. It's when you kind of
mm.
again become stagnant and then you kind of think like I don't want to use the phrase you know it all, but you don't know it all. Like, you're always gonna learn something new. So like I
Yeah.
love coaches meetings. I love being around other coaches. I love asking questions, learning from experiences, and then just using them to your advantage.
Mm,
So yeah, but and also too, you got to have a passion for what you do. So it goes back to what we're talking about with you. Like you obviously love the game. I mean, you trained so hard and so much that, what I mean? Like you got to genuinely just have a passion for it.
yeah.
So, man, that's
Mm.
another good question, dude. um,
Man, like, next time we'll switch it. We'll do Eric interviews Coach Mike.
no, no, man. I gotta, no, no. Now I want to be about you guys. I want to be about the people who
Yeah,
have the other experience, the other side of it. But yeah, no, I
of
mean,
course.
again, thank you for
That's-
taking the time. We had a very fun time organizing this. Again, this is yes through
yeah.
Zoom. Yes, he is
Uh,
using. Eric is actually using his camera phone light to give him light.
yeah.
So
I wish I could
he
show you guys, but
And you use three different laptops to get to this ability to have
Yep,
one recording. So
3 different laptops, 2 headphones,
yeah.
one one little stand to create my iPhone holder for the light.
Hey
But
man, we just got it
it
done.
was
You know what I
worth it.
mean? We just
It
got
was
it
worth
done.
it.
We just got it done.
Exactly.
We had a shared experience. So, all right, man. Well, I appreciate everything you put out there and being vulnerable. I'll be curious to get the comment section going and seeing people bash you for talking about high school coaches the way you did.
I know, right?
So,
That let's just cut that part out. It'd be good,
no, you
No,
didn't
yeah.
mean it like that. You didn't mean it like
No,
that. But
yeah.
people are gonna take it the wrong way. Unfortunately, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
So
That's okay. It's all positive vibes and love out there for all soccer coaches and players, and there's no hate at all.
yeah.
I was just in the heat of the moment, heat of the conversation.
I just was laughing
But
because I was like, "Oh man, he said that." Woo!
oh
I
no.
was like, he didn't come out. I mean, I know what you're saying, man. Trust me.
Yeah.
We all get caught doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nah, I
man.
mean,
Thank you for
of
doing it.
course, thank you for having me. Thank you for choosing to interview
You're the
me
first,
and
baby. You're the first. First and
yes.
maybe only.
Thank
You
you.
never know. It could be that bad. People can be like, "No, trash
High
it."
school coaches? Nah, we're not listening to this
No,
guy.
exactly. Like, yeah, they're gonna boycott. Hey, they're gonna cancel you,
Oh
bro.
yeah,
They're gonna cancel you.
bring it on.
All right, man.
Got
I'll be in
nothing to
touch.
cancel.
I'll be in touch,
Of
man.
course.
All right. See you,
All right.
Eric.
Thank you.